Listen, I didn't think it could happen, but it did. I have in fact drafted a better team than BDL. Which is kind of impressive, seeing as though I got round 3 Mew there, but I got round 3 Mamoswine in Limited, so what can I actually say? Anyway, this is for ISL. It's a Galadex League. I'm in the Pearl Division, the lowest one, because I'm getting bullied by the admins. I'm being oppressed for doing nothing, and so I will show them why they should not put me in that league. My plan was I was position 6 of 12, which is probably the worst position you can be in. So my plan was to, because I thought, okay, I'm not getting Dragapult, I'm not getting Rillaboom, I'm not going to get something else that's interesting. I might as well just go Prim first to get the best tier 2 off the board. So that's what I did. I got Prim. I think Prim is insane in Limited. Very few switch-ins to this one. Even just for simple dual stab, psychic, Carmine kind of sets. You know, sub Carmine's great. Energy ball coverage is super useful. And there's even a little bit of physical coverage that it could use. But overall, I was very happy picking Prim first. I felt like, okay, you know, whatever I do, I'll have a at least solid chance if I just build around Prim. Then it gets to my second pick, and I see that Jirachi is still open. I was actually planning on going Mandibuzz second. I wanted to get a lot of really good tier 2s and 3s just off the bat, and worry about my tier 1 later. But Jirachi round 2 in Limited is kind of insane. And at the time, Togekiss was on the board as well, and there were people who could have taken both if it had gone back to them. And I wasn't ready to risk people having Jirachi Togekiss, so I just picked it up myself. I'm very excited to use this mon. It does so much. You know, you have stuff like Charge Beam, just being guaranteed special attacks, you've got Ancient Power, you know, great special moves, great physical moves. Just overall, you know, a Rocker. Just, there's so much stuff this Jirachi can do. And I'm pretty sure just anything that could actually switch into Prim would not appreciate getting chipped down by Jirachi just spamming Iron Head on repeat. So then after these two picks, I had two picks in mind for my sort of original 4-mon plan, which was Salazzle and Mamoswine. I was kind of rough, I didn't know which to get, but I thought that I'm probably going to be weak to Mamoswine if I didn't pick it up instantly, and I feel like somebody else could pick it up. So I just went Mamoswine first. Mamoswine is another insane mon in Limited, one of the best tier 2s. There's really not much that likes to come into Ice Ground as a dual stab. Has access to Freeze Dry and a decent special attack to hit stuff like Quagsire. Band is incredible. Scarf is base 80, which means it's able to outspeed Zeraora and Dragapult, which is very useful because it can OHKO both of them with dual stabs, which kind of helps a lot because, you know, you can see from this is a very, you know, basic offense team, and having an answer to some of the best anti-offense mons in the game in the form of Mamoswine is super useful. Priority Ice Shard is obviously super good for that as well. It's another rock setter. You know, it has a lot it can do, but, you know, I'm probably going to be running more often than not, just Banded. Then I went Salazzle. Salazzle Prim, incredible combo. Steel types are the main thing that beat Prim down. I can either toxic steel types with Corrosion, I can just pressure them with Flamethrower and Nasty Plot. You know, there's a lot of stuff that Salazzle can do. Physical technically is viable. It has a lot of really interesting physical moves. It has DD, it has Scale Shot now. It has Corrosive Gas, which is interesting if I'm gonna go for like a hard stool set with it, which I'm planning not to. I feel like Knockoff is gonna be the move I use if I want to actually get rid of items on this. But even if I'm just running like, you know, Boots, like Toxic, Dual Stab, and like, I don't know, just like Endeavor maybe or whatever, I'm very excited to just be able to open up teams kind of with Salazzle, be able to get Prim in pretty easily, and then from there just start destroying teams. Now after picking up Salazzle, I have Fire, Water, and a Fairy and a Steel. So at this point I'm missing my Dragon, I'm missing my Grass type for those two cores. So I go Drampa next. Drampa I think is a very solid tier 4, hits extremely hard and limited, has super good coverage, stuff like Hurricane, stuff like fire moves, water moves, electric moves, grass moves. It's pretty much a Gen 1 normal type in how much coverage it gets. And Glare as well is very interesting, especially because the team is overall pretty slow. My max speed Salazzle, from there it goes Terrakion, then Jirachi. It's not unbearably slow, it's not like it's a Trick Room team, but Glare support is definitely useful. And overall this is another mon I think is going to work very well alongside Prim, just being able to break down teams. Just put it in either Jirachi range, maybe Terrakion range, maybe Mamoswine range, you know, stuff like that. It's also a defogger. It is this team's one of 2 defoggers. I'm interested in that dynamic. My hazard control overall is pretty subpar. You know, defog on just Drampa and Butterfree, and then Rapid Spin on my next pick Serena is pretty meh. But something to consider is a lot of rock setters. I've drafted a lot of the very good rock setters, stuff like Jirachi, Terrakion, Mamo, and a lot of lower tier rock setters really don't appreciate Drampa very much, nor do they appreciate Serena at all. Because a lot of them are rock types, they're ground types, you know, weak to potentially my grass or water coverage, weak to just stab grass moves from Serena. It's definitely going to be a struggle in terms of hazards, but I think I should be able to do well enough. I think a lot of my hazard weaknesses aren't too bad. I'm pretty sure I'm always going to be running boots on Gliscopod, going to be running boots on Salazzle. I think the one issue possibly with my lack of removal is Butterfree, but I don't think I should be changing my team much to fit Butterfree better. But no, I think even if it takes a lot of health from Drampa, I think it's going to function pretty well as a defogger. So then, obviously, you know, I thought, okay, my hazards are still weak, and Serena was a mon that I felt was quite snipeable at this point, because I saw that there were quite a few people who looked like they were going to get mid-tier grasses, like Decidueye, Serena, Delmise. You know, Delmise, not Delmise, Decidueye I think went 2 picks after me, because I was talking to somebody about it, and they said, oh, I want Decidueye, and I had to say, if I get sniped of Serena, I'm going Decidueye. Because Decidueye and Serena kind of fit that same slot, but I liked Serena a lot more here. Why is that? Well, it's Queenly Majesty. The other main counter to offense teams is a strong, priority. Well, not directly to this team, but I feel like mons like Mamoswine, like Terrakion, against stronger Aqua Jets and stuff like that, I think they're gonna find it very scary, and I think Serena definitely helps support 2 of my bigger players here. Very solid attack stat, quite good defenses. You know, as far as grass types go, it's not bad. Has a great coverage now with triple axial play rough. You know, U-turn's great, Zen headbutt, knockoff high jump kick, obviously grass stab, acrobatics potentially, and the main thing, rapid spin for me. I think as a rapid spinner, it's very solid. I can taunt potentially slower rockers. I can synthesis on them. You know, I can run a much bulkier set than people are expecting. But at the same time, I can run just this super offensive, banded set. And just go in. Just because its attack is great. So then to round out my triple band core, and because I kind of, at this point, wanted to draft Butterfree Pikachu, I knew I kind of needed another tier 1. And I didn't have a rock type, I didn't have a fighting type. And I thought Terrakion would be very interesting. Terrakion's a good gap to bridge between Jirachi's base 100 and Salazzle's 117 speeds. 108 is obviously very good. You know, the other Swords of Justice have it. 129 attack is kinda nuts. You know, I mean, you know why Terrakion's good. Banded, Sword Stance, Rocks, Suicide, you know, Taunt. There's so much good stuff on this mon. You know, even dumb coverage like Mega Horn, Air Slash even. You know, Terrakion does what Terrakion does. And that's all I'm really kind of needing from it. You know, look at Mamo, look at Terrakion, like look at Prim. What really can wall all three of those? Very few teams actually can, I feel. And I think definitely if I'm against slower, like bulkier teams, I feel like with a tour like that, I kind of just instantly win. I think the problem with this team from Prim to Terrakion is faster mons. You know, my priority is good, my anti-priority is good, but I kind of needed more of ways to deal with mons like Zeraora, like Dragapult. So next I went Sableye. Now Sableye is great. Prankster, incredible ability, Dark Ghost is good typing. Its stats are kind of disappointing, but, you know, it's Sableye. What can you say, really? You know, Prankster Wisp, Prankster Toxic, Sucker Punch potentially being very strong against mons like Alolan Raichu, which should definitely tear up this team. You know, Poltergeist tech potentially, but you know what Sableye does. It encores, it just does all this dumb stuff. And my main thing I'm thinking with it is, I can Wisp potentially scary mons, I can trick scary mons, I can just shut stuff down that otherwise I would lose to. And that's kind of, I really appreciate Sableye at tier 4 just for that reason. I feel like, you know, if I just have a mon like Sableye, like Jirachi, where I can just basically say, okay, I don't lose this matchup, it's just rough, is super nice to have. Because that's what Sableye does. I don't think you can ever be in a super losing matchup if you have Sableye. I think you can Wisp every attacker, you can knock special attackers, you can trick them, there's so much stuff Sableye can do. And Prankster Recover is never to be slept on. Its defensive stats aren't the best, but they're certainly not bad either. 50 HP is what Pex has, and while 75 defense isn't very good alongside it, and same with 65 for def, it can wall enough stuff, honestly. Especially if those mons are maybe something like, I don't know, a bulky Komodo's Earthquake, for example. I'm pretty sure Sableye could just hard stool out a Komodo. And this team doesn't have a Komodo issue, but, you know, that's always a plus. So so leading on from that, I definitely wanted more ways of dealing with very fast mons, so I went Golisopod. Golisopod's great. This team otherwise only really had rocks, so I'm glad that I have a spike setter, a very quite reliable spike setter with Golisopod. Super bulky physically, and not too bad specially either. You know, this is near enough Komodo bulk, but with more attack, and much less speed. It has good moves, it has knockoff, obviously very useful. Pain Split, potentially, but I doubt I'm going to be bringing that. Bulk Up and Swords Dance as setup moves. Sucker Punch, very always useful. Taunt, always useful if I can creep possibly slower mons like Bronzong. Or even stuff like Pex, which I think might be a little faster. Obviously, super powerful priority. You know, 125 attack. Aqua Jet starts really hitting. First impression hits super hard from this mon. I mean, this is the first impression mon, so of course it's going to. Potentially, like, Endeavor for a Spite Suicide set, with something like Endeavor, Aqua Jet, Spikes, and Knockoff, maybe. And as far as water types go, I'm glad that I kind of doubled up, because if this was my only water type, I kind of feel bad about missing out on using a proper Schooled mon, but Prim is very good at just clicking Schooled against teams, which is one of the reasons why it's kind of very hard to switch into. It's the reason why Toxapex can be found to be extremely hard to switch into as well. So I'm kind of fine doubling up on water there, and the only other type I'm doubling up on here is Bug. I'm not missing any types for once, which I'm very happy with. And I doubled up on Bug exclusively just because I wanted Butterfree. so Butterfree and Pikachu are my tier 5s. And, I mean, I drafted them because I said to someone Butterfree was draftable, and if I could fit it, I would draft it. So I had to draft it. And then I decided to just finish the Ash Ketchum way and get Pikachu as well. As much as I'm laughing, though, I don't think either of these are bad mons. I think they're solid tier 5s. I think Butterfree getting Hurricane this gen is a huge buff for it. With Compound Eyes, it gets to close enough, it gets 91% accuracy, which is surprisingly accurate for a 30% confusion move that has our base 110 attack. Its 90 special attack definitely something to be desired. 70 speed is very iffy. There's a reason why I'm fine having 70 and 72, because I think when people are prepping for speeds, they won't prep for Butterfree speed tier. Quiver Dance, near enough 100% accurate Sleep Powder or Stun Spore. You know, I'm pretty sure if I'm bringing Butterfree, I'll probably just bring Sash Sleep Powder with either something like maybe Teleport or just a Quiver Dance set. There's not much else it can do, and there's not much else I need it to do, really. Once I got to my tier 5s, I felt kind of secure in how I was gonna fight teams. I feel like these first 9, pretty much, I don't think I could be in a losing position against pretty much most teams. So it was left to these last 2 to kind of, what do I want to win with? That's very silly. And Butterfree is definitely a mon you can win with, because obviously flying type moves are incredible to spam, alongside its Giga Drain it can use, or just bug type move. Tinted Lens is definitely something I could try. I don't think I'm going to bring it, but it's there. And otherwise, there is technically useful utility here. There's Whirlwind, there's Teleport as I've said. There's obviously very accurate sleep moves, Morning Sun or Roost. But otherwise, I'm just gonna use this as just a Sleep Powder mon that can Quiver Dance up and potentially win a game. And then lastly, we get to my boy, the Ash's main mon, Pikachu. Now, why did I draft Pikachu? Well, it's actually kind of very uniquely useful to this team. And you might question that. You might think, but that's Pikachu. What's it doing? Pikachu is great because it can cycle out a lot of priority. Pikachu has 3 different normal type priority moves in Fake Out, Extreme Speed, and Quick Attack. You're never running Quick Attack though, but but Fake Out Extreme Speed is essentially a 120 base power priority move coming off of a 458 attack stat thanks to Light Ball. It's actually very good at beating very fast mons, and it's another thing that I think helps because there are fast mons that Delizapod might not be able to priority. You know, Bug type is kind of resisted quite highly. Sableye isn't always gonna beat stuff, but normal type moves kind of go in a lot of the time. There's not really a fast Steel type, there's not really a fast Rock type that I haven't drafted. And fast Ghosts do exist, but I think I have decent ways of playing against the faster Ghosts, which are, I mean, it's mainly just Dragapult and Gengar, which I have Mamoswine for both, pretty much. I can run either AV, or I'm thinking more Scarf Mamoswine for those types of Ghosts. But otherwise, Pikachu is great at beating just anti-offense mons. It is also Lightning Rod as an electric immunity. It is my electric type of a team. It is a 90 speed tier, where previously my speeds go 72 on Serena, to 80 on Mamo, to 100 on Jirachi. So going from being able to go 80, 90, 100 is very useful, because overall my speed tiers are very good. If I go here, you'll see I start at 36 with Drampa, I go to 40 with Delizapod, then I go 50 Sableye, which doesn't really matter, but, you know, there's always potential. Then it goes 60 to Prim, 70 to Butterfree, 72 to Serena, and then it goes 80 on Mamo, 90 on Pikachu, 100 on Jirachi, 108 Terrakion, and 117 Salazzle. There really isn't a gap there, and I'm covering a very wide range of speeds there. You know, 36 to 117, I believe, is just about 80 speed, that I'm covering pretty much perfectly. Obviously, that I don't have something that's like 20 speed like Torkoal, or 5 speed like Shuckle or Munchlax, I don't have anything that's like 160 speed like Ninjask, but on a team like this, you don't need it. You don't really need that Mon that's super fast. I mainly have Salazzle here just because of its synergy with Prim, and Terrakion just so happens to be very fast. Otherwise, I'm drafting it because it hits super hard with close combat. And another thing with Pikachu is just, it has really good coverage because of the fact it's the mascot. It has Surf, it has Play Rough. I could potentially bring something like Sash Nuzzle. It has Knockoff. It technically has Nasty Plot as a set. There's a lot Pikachu can do if it's in the right place at the right time. I think that right place and right time is going to be very far away from me and in about 12 years. But in those 12 years, you know, I might fight Stool at one point, and that'll proceed very good. I don't know what I'm saying. Either way, looking at the team as a whole, you can see I have a selection of very solid special breakers, something like Nuzlocke Salazzle, Tarmai Prim, or Specs Prim, Specs Drampa. I then have physical breakers up the wazoo, Mamo, Terrakion, Golisopod, Serena, very solid mons. I have Jirachi as a great cleaner, potentially Mamoswine can clean up with Ice Shard, same with Golisopod Aqua Jet, same with Pikachu Extreme Speed, as dumb as that sounds. I have very good utility, I have Sleep on demand, I have Burns on demand, I have Flinches on demand, I have Paras on demand. I don't think, really, the team has a downside for me. I think there's times I'm gonna struggle. Obviously, I don't think you can ever build a team that doesn't struggle. But there's never, I feel, gonna be a completely lost matchup for me. And I'm very happy that I've been able to draft a team like that. I'm very happy that I got stuff like Jirachi round 2, that I was able to get something like Terrakion round 7, because nobody else kind of wanted it. Which I think is a crying shame to Terrakion. It is a solid mon, and I'm very happy to have it so I can use it. But I mean, yeah, I'm mainly gonna be happy about using my tier 5s, but, you know. I'm gonna bring each of them to more than one match, and I'm going to try to get them kills, but it's not gonna happen. I'm pretty sure on a team like this, my kill lead is gonna be Mamoswine or Terrakion. I think Prim's gonna do a lot, but I'm quite inexperienced with Prim. I've used mons like Terrakion and Mamoswine before, though, and I feel like I'm gonna have a lot better of an experience with them than I will with Prim. I'm kinda not used to a slower attacker. I know, obviously, why it's so good, and I've definitely used mons like Medina before, but Medina is kind of a different case to Prim. It's a lot bulkier than Prim, has a better defensive typing. Water Fairy is still very solid defensive typing, don't get me wrong. But I feel like I'm gonna be more scared of bringing Prim in than I am with something like Medina. Though, the rewards for getting it in are equally good. Just because it has such good, like, it has Hydro Pump, it has Moonblast as a fairy, which is always nice to have. It's just super good. But anyway, that's my team. I think looking at other teams, I think a lot of other teams are very solid. I don't think there's a fairyless team. I don't think there's a team that's lacking really much. I think in Pearl as a whole, I'm very excited to play players here. I think, you know, despite this being the lowest, the lowest draft in ISL, clearly players do know what they're doing. You know, you have players drafting Clef Corv at the wheel. You know, Rillaboom went first, Dragapult went second. You know, people know what they're doing. And I'm very excited to kind of fight a lot of these players I haven't before. Get rematches on players like Rez or Emp. Emp, it's film. And otherwise, yeah, I'm just excited to use mons like Prim, try out Salazzle, and mainly just to get kills on Pikachu.